Check 1, 2. Hello from France. Thanks for joining in. This is live from Pittsburgh. It is freezing cold here. Goodness, I should probably put that on first. I've got this drum I've had for a while. I don't know if I've featured it on this channel yet, so I'm going to go through this rack over here. Got a rack of handmade and custom Bucks County snares from the years. So I want to spend the next few weeks going through each one of these and talking about them, explaining why I have them, what they are. This is, can I hold it up? It's got a microphone on it. This is a beast, 7x14. Let me just take the mic off. Chris at Bucks County Drums calls it, it's the Mach 1 series. It is a series that is available to order. Few different options. This is 7x14. It's a beast. Thick 12-ply maple shell with sharp double 45 edges, die-cast hoops, satin black finish, trick throw off. This one has tube lugs. I think I put 20 strand wires on this one. If you're familiar with Yamaha maple custom drums back in the 90s, this one's pretty close to that. I've got it tuned really high. That's not where I typically have it, but I want to start tuned high and then bring it down and kind of hear everything that's happening with it. Powerful drum, very sensitive, kind of warm, classic wood snare sound. So it's cranked right now. I put a coated G2 batter on it, standard 300s snare side. I put the G2 because I was going to use this mostly for rock and like big kind of festival gigs with some different singer-songwriters and stuff. I might swap it, but I'm kind of liking it. So let's see where it's sitting right now. Cranked. It's up to a 3rd octave, which is way up there. Normally I wouldn't tune that high, but let's just get that up to the A so we can start at the absolute upper. I can feel that these tension rods are pretty much at their max. There we go. Perfect A, 3rd octave, cranked. I think that's where Carter McLean had the snare tuned in Lion King when I was subbing a few years back. It was up there, it was cranked, so that's one of the grooves from that show. Even though it's cranked, it still has some density to the sound. Looks like the OBS audio might have been sending a little bit hot. Let me know. So that's cranked. That's way up there. Dense chambers kind of vibe, which it does. Let's take it down a half step. So that was A. Take it down to the G sharp. G sharp is usually the upper tuning for me. Anything higher than that, it starts to just really sound thin. Not this drum, all drums. This drum, if I was going for that Dennis Chambers kind of sound, super funky, still had some density to it. But this drum can do a lot more than that. All right, there's G sharp. Which is like 207 hertz. 208, somewhere in that world. This is usually my super high tuning. Trying to hit the camera switcher and I got screwed up. Germany in the US, and France in the house. What's up? So that's tuned up to the G sharp with no muffling. I had this little teeny tiny little gel. It's been on this drum for probably a year. So I'm gonna put that back on, see if that does anything to just shorten that overring a little bit. Seems to do a lot. This is one of those drums that, I'm gonna take that gel off so we can still hear it with its full tone. This is one of the drums that I have that the more I dig into it, kind of the more it responds positively. So again, this is the Bucks County Mach 1 12-ply maple, 7x14 with the sharp double 45. So I'm gonna take it down to a G, I'm getting closer to where it usually lives. If I'm using the drum for more kind of big rock, modern country, whatever kind of vibe, I'll usually tune lower. Oh, I went too far. That's F sharp. Wasn't paying attention. One of these. If I was touring, like playing louder rooms, bigger stages, I would probably take this drum and then a metal drum. So I have two options. There we go, there's the G. I'll probably take this drum in like a 6.5 aluminum. So I have both options. Different rooms are gonna respond differently. Some rooms like wood drums, some rooms don't. one gel back on. It dries it up super easily with a little tiny bit of dampening. Okay, that's G sharp. No, that was G. Go down to F sharp. Like once you start really getting into collecting snares and building out your collection, I think everybody needs a high quality, deep, modern style wood drum, which is what this is, with sharper bearing edges, so it's crispy, a thicker shell. This is 12 ply. Can kind of do whatever you want. It's also can be powerful, it can be sensitive and delicate. There we go, F sharp. And everything is modern made, so it's easy to tune, it holds its tuning. So here's the F sharp. Starting to get more into that kind of gushy, vibey tone. So let's just put the gel back on. Same note though, F sharp. Starting to feel softer, so it still holds together. It's nice and punchy. I'm gonna go down another half step. This is where I started. It's where I had the drum tuned priorly to the F, which is quite low for any kind of all-purpose tuning. And once you get below an F, it starts to become kind of a specialty sound. Here's the F. This is where I started from, but when I brought the drum in today. Without the dampening, but the wire is a little bit loose. It's on the first setting on the trick. That to me is the most where this drum shines. Powerful, a little bit lower, punchy. You can keep it wide open, and it doesn't ring annoyingly. I'll just go down a little bit further to E and just see how far down we can take it. But I know F is kind of, for me, the most like unique, special sound for this drum. Gives me that big Chris McHugh Nashville sound. All right, here's the E, 165 hertz. Tim gets the prize. Yes, I was quoting one of my favorite grooves, Chris McHugh on Sweet Thing. That's kind of the tuning for it. So F to E, somewhere in that world, it still sounds pretty freaking cool there. Let's go to D sharp and kind of see where it kind of falls apart. Here's D sharp. Felipe, do you prefer this snare or a Ludwig LM402? I would have both. I said earlier, if I was like touring or working with a band that was playing like big production, big stages, high volume, or even like moderately high volume, anything in kind of like a indie rock, modern country, that kind of world, I would take this drum, 7x14. Bucks County Mach 1, which is 12-ply maple, and I would take probably a deep Superphonic or Black Beauty, 6.5. Just because I've from experience, some rooms are just an overtone on stage that, for whatever reason, wood drums might not gel well. And conversely, sometimes the stages are really bright sounding and the metal drum is really not gelling. So I would have two. So this would be a companion for the deeper Superphonic 402. For anything where I need just maximum snare sound, the beefiest, but also versatile sound possible. That's pretty cool too. That's super vibey. Let's go down further to the D. At some point it's going to fall apart and disengage from the bearing edge, but this die-cast tube is holding up nice. Which snare is perfect for all situations? Such a hard because all situations is impossible. Like if you're playing like black metal and bebop. But the drum for me that gets the most, I just go back to most often when I just need a drum that can cover a lot of stuff. It's kind of the same answer. The 5x14 Black Beauty that I have, which is black nickel over brass, seamless shell. That can do almost everything. And then 5.5x14, like any kind of like a 5.5x14 maple or birch, you know, a good quality maple, solid maple, Craviato, something like that, or would be the number 2. I've got something in the works that might beat that out, but like this is just maybe a little deep for like if I was going to play musical theater or something. So a shallower version of this would work on anything, and then the shallow Black Beauty, I think, can work on anything. Superphonic would be a close number 3, but sometimes they can just be a little quiet. Like even, like it's tuned very low. It still kind of holds together. So yeah, this is a really versatile drum. I might even argue that I could use this on anything. I probably could. This is a 7x14. I don't know if you can get a 6x14 version of it, but that might be. But yeah, this thing is really versatile. AR guy, what is your stance on the TuneBot? I use it all the time. I use it daily. It's a reference tool for me. I don't use it as any kind of quote-unquote cheater or whatever. I can tune drums by ear. I can tune drums by feel. I don't need it. But it's a way for me to just keep track of where I think a drum sounds good. Like I know this drum sounds good when the fundamental is an F. So why not use the tool when it's available? I really don't think it's any different than a guitarist having a guitar tuner. Yeah, you should be able to tune your guitar via harmonics or a pitch pipe or whatever, but electronic tuners just make it easier. I certainly could tune this drum just fine without ever having a TuneBot, but it's more for just, you know, so I can return it to where I like it. Yeah, it's not a replacement. I mean, you still got to tune the drum. If you don't tension this evenly, if you don't seat the head properly, it's going to read a bunch of crazy stuff too, and you're just going to get frustrated. Okay, this is really low now. That's with no dampening. I just tightened up the wires. You're hearing some sympathetic ringing from the tom. That's why I was putting my hand on them. You can hear the toms ringing. So I don't know, this drum has kind of proven to be a jack of all trades. Saw something pass by here. I use a Pearl Masterworks. Oh yeah, that's basically the same as this, except it has the birch in it. So yeah, if that's too much for certain places, do you have an aluminum drum? Maybe a 5x14 aluminum or a 5.5x14 aluminum. That's going to be drier, and that would be more controlled. So I would complement your deep wood drum, which probably sounds amazing, with a shallow aluminum drum. Yeah, noise gates in the live setting, you got to use them, right? Because that's just humming like crazy. Because this drum is probably tuned right where the toms are. Let's see. So every time I hit it, it's making that 13 ring like crazy. The 12 is ringing as well, but they're not as close in pitch. But you can really hear the 13. All that is the 13 ringing. And that deadens the niters here in the snare. Which is why, whenever I record with this snare sound, which is quite often, the toms are either deadened quite a bit with towels or something else, or I just get rid of them entirely. Because if this needs to be tuned that way, the toms are probably not really all that important to the recording or the mix, and I will just get them out of there, because I don't want all that humming. Yeah, what else? So let's bring it back up to where I liked it best. Did I miss anything? If you're looking for one drum that'll do everything for rock and roll, for small places and open spaces, I mean, I'm going to go back to my original answer, Black Beauty, 5x14 Black Beauty. Unless you're really hitting hard, that's going to be an amazing drum for everything, all volumes, all styles. How often do I use dampening on the snare when I'm playing live? 100% of the time, I would say. 100%, even if it's just one tiny little morsel of a gel. I can't think of any time in the past. I mean, even when I was playing a lot of like modern jazz and bebop, I had a gel on the snare, or like a tiny little bit of tape. Yeah, I can't think of any situation in my entire career live where I've not dampened the snare. Simply because I just don't want the microphones are going to pick up any kind of sympathetic hum, and it just makes the mix dirty. So yeah, in just different rooms, there's always frequencies in the room that are annoying. I can't think of any time, even in the best sounding room, where I've had the snare wide open. The only time I have the snare wide open is some recordings. When we just want that kind of 90s sound, or it's just a certain drum that doesn't need it. But yeah, this thing is a beast. I mean, that type of sound I've probably been asked to record more than anything else in my entire career. The low, kind of beefy, pillowy thing. In most drums, I had to put a whole bunch of dampening on them to get it to stop being crazy. That has one tiny little half-inch dot of dampening. Okay, let's bring it back up to the F where I had it originally. I'm not fine-tuning this thing. I'm just kind of being even about the adjustments, but lately I do less and less fine-tuning. Once the head is originally seated, I'm kind of balanced out. I don't go crazy about like tuning every tension rod. It seems to want to live in homeostasis on its own. Is my mic loud enough? There's the E. You can also kind of just feel it. When the drum is made well, you can kind of go by feel a little bit more because all the rods are properly aligned. Oop, not too far. Yeah, the beefy, fluffy thing. It's been around forever, but kind of came back in flavor in like the mid and late 90s when Matt Chamberlain was showing up on every singer-songwriter record. And then every indie rock band kind of adopted that sound and it stuck. See, this one, I like it sounding wide open in this room. This room has been fully treated. There's like no reflections to speak of, so you're just hearing the drum. And I love it wide open. But as soon as I take it into a different room, as soon as I take this into a different room, it's going to be, you know, different frequencies are going to get accentuated, and I'll inevitably have to put a little bit of dampening on it. It's an F. I would say, is this my medium tuning? F to F sharp is somewhere. E to F sharp seems to be that kind of medium zone between medium low to medium high. G sharp is high. Anything below that, getting down to sometimes E, D sharp, D. That's getting into the low bit. IEMs am I using? IEMs, these are 6.4 audio. Love them. These are the 6Ts, I believe they're called. Absolutely love them. It's what I got for Lion King when I was subbing for Carter McClain. That's what he was using because I wanted that exact same mix as him. And they're incredible. It's tilted away from me because I've been playing a lot of traditional grip. And rim shots are easier. And the snare stand is no, this one's not maxed out. But on my gigging, I have like the Tama Classic stand on my gigging kit set up. And it just won't go high enough for me to have a flat drum and play traditional grip and not have to lean. So I just got used to just slightly tilting it, just slightly. And it's at a height where both grips kind of naturally fall. So I don't really have to think too much about any adjustments between matched or traditional. So that's all. I mean, I could be totally fine if it was flat. It's just the zone I'm in these days. Just building a lot more traditional grip. For whatever reason, I'm just liking playing traditional grip more lately. Excellent technique in the grooves. Thank you. So use EAD in a full mic setup. That's all the same as a gig, or just run EAD 10. I don't. This setup doesn't leave. Let me stop this scrolling. So the EAD 10 never leaves this room. This is just for originally. I mean, mainly it's for practicing, so I can have the click and all that. And it also, I kind of treat it as my parallel compressor and effects bus. So check it out. Yeah, the Earthworks are incredible. Again, I don't take these out. I take cheap stuff out if I have to mic my own stuff. I'm not going to take high-end stuff out on a gig. Okay, so let me do a little. So I want to take the EAD 10 all the way out. So now it's out. I'm going to bring it back up. It's only 50% on the master. So now it's purposely mixed to be minimal. So it's just giving a little bit of stereo spread, a little bit of extra snap to the kick, and a little bit of crispiness to the snare. But also I can use it as an effects bus if I crank the reverb. Which is cool. I don't need to do that, but that's an option if I don't want to dig into my mixer and mess with the effects there. Or I can crank the compressor. So you can really hear the compressor kind of biting in, but I usually don't have it. It's barely at all, but I also, because some of these effects in this thing are just funky and fun, the heavy modulator is interesting. Thanks, Felipe. I appreciate it. I've been practicing my butt off, so I'm glad it's translating. So I also use the EAD 10 for that, like bringing in some of these weird effects just to make it interesting. There is no, well, I mean, technically a felt strip is internal damp. I have one felt strip at the top of the batter head. It's basically covering up the Evans logo. So it's just the very top of the top fifth of the head or whatever that might be. And that's it, nothing inside, nothing on the front. So anyway, you can get kind of crazy with it. That's how I'm using the EAD10. Let me get back to where it was. And I use it for the metronome. It has this awesome metronome.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
That I can use to have the counting.
4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Which has been awesome for internalizing weird phrases. Luke, what tunebot setting on your toms is always different? Always different. What I do, using the app, I use the drum set calculator. I put in my sizes. I have it set for not maximum sustain, but one notch down from maximum sustain. And I just keep it in the middle, the zero pitch, so it's like the middle ground. That's where I'll put the drums initially when I'm swapping heads, just so I can kind of have a starting point. And then from there, I just move the whole drum up and down, depending if I want it to be higher or lower. Generally, the bottom head is about a whole step higher than the top. But like these, I have no idea. They've been settling and they've gone, the floor tom is all the way down. That's a 14. The kick drum, I just tightened up 2 of the lugs today. Just a little bit, it was starting to sound a little bit too low. So it's all different. I would, again, use the app as a guide to get started and then just experiment. You gotta learn your own drums. Drum dial, sometimes. I have a drum dial, I've used it. I used to use it a lot when I was playing festivals, like multi-band festivals, because you can get your drum pretty close to where it worked. Just make sure it stayed where it was last time without having to hit the drum. It's a good reference tool. Again, they're all reference tools, so whatever gets the job done. I've also just been messing around with these Evans torque keys to see if they work, so it all works. I think you need just some basic fundamental drum tuning theory under control and experience to kind of know what your drums can do and what a typical drum can do. Like a 12 is only going to do what a 12 can do. You can't make a 12 sound like a 16. You can't make a 12 sound like an 8. There's a range for each drum. Some drums can extend on the highs and the lows of that, depending on how well they're made. But in general, every 12 kind of does what it does, 13, 14, so on and so forth. But yeah, the drum dial's cool. I usually just set it in the middle. I don't worry about, again, balancing. I'm just making sure, is the snare drum at 85 or whatever it is that might be my preferred tension. You know, toms at 70 or 72 or whatever it might be. I just make note of it, put a note in your phone or whatever, so I just remember where that started from. I don't think drum tuning is nearly as mythical as it's often stated. You just have to spend time with your drums. You know, take the heads all the way down as low as they can go and just gradually tune it all the way up until it's as high as it can go, and you're going to find spots where it really sings. Snare drum. I haven't used a drum dial on the snare in a while. I feel like it was somewhere in the 80 to 85, somewhere in that world, I think, was my, just depending on the drum or the sound. Yeah, on top. I think that's what it was. If I just sat it in the middle of the drum, I think it was between 80 and 85, just depending on what I was looking for. I'll check it, and next time I'm on here, I can let you know. But yeah, it was, and then the bottom head is just tight, you know, not so tight that it's going to tear the head or completely choke out, but just tight. It probably ended up being like 90 something. I think toms were sitting around 70 or 72. I don't remember exactly. Top head. Again, you just mess with your drum, find what you like, put the drum dial on it, and then make a note of that, so you can always bring it back to that. And every drum head's going to have a different reading with that. A 2-ply, like this G2, is going to have a different tension reading than a single ply. So you just have to keep track of, you know, what head you're using. Hey, thanks for logging in. That said, I do have to hop off. It is past the hour. So appreciate you all. Floor tom tuning, it should be on my page. So if you go back there, it should be available, should be public. If not, I'll make sure. I can give you a quick, Luke, do I have a live schedule? I don't, I need to. I'm gonna commit to that as New Year's resolution, to say these hours on these days of the week, I'm gonna go live. It's just my work schedule is constantly shifting depending on what needs to be done. So sometimes it gets hard to commit to that. I was on noon every freaking day for a while, for like 6 months. I think mid-afternoon is probably better, but I'll commit to that. Be on the lookout for that. Felipe, it's all good. That's why I'm here, to share info. So the floor tom brief synopsis, as low as it can go, just above the point where the head wrinkles on both sides. Because I think of a floor tom, if it's a 16 and you're playing beats and fills and not like jazz or something where you need melodic sounds. The floor tom for me is a transition from between the high toms to the bass drum. So I want it to sound like a small bass drum with some tone. So I will tune it as low as it can go, just above the wrinkle point, and then the bottom head, I'll probably go around 1/8 of a turn on each lug just to bring the pitch up a bit and give it a little bit more sustain. That usually just works there. And then I go up and down just depending on if I need the pitch to be higher. That'll be the lowest note it can get, so then I can just bring it up if it's too flappy or too dead. But yeah, floor tom's as low as I can go, just above the wrinkle point with a touch more on the bottom. And that should do it. All right, I got to roll, man. Y'all, thanks for tuning in. Check out, if you're in the market for a really nice high-end kind of desert island, deep wood snare drum, check out the Bucks County Mach 1. This is the 12-ply 7x14 12-ply maple. It's killer. All right, I will not be back maybe on Friday. I got a few days before I can commit to a schedule, but I'll probably be back on later this week. Have a good holiday, and I'll see you.